In 1986, the Russians began construction on an amazing vehicle, Mir. Mir is the next in a long line of Russian space stations. It was revolutionary because Mir was the first orbital platform to be constructed in sections, launching on multiple missions, and have these sections of the space station being fitted together in space. That was something that was far beyond anything that anybody in the West, including NASA, the United States, was then capable of. It was an outstanding achievement, Mir. But Mir faced a problem in the time that it was constructed, because this is right at the end of the Soviet Union. Just 3 years after the first Mir section was launched, the Soviet Union broke apart. And the new Russian Federation could not justify the monetary expenditure that Mir was taking up. Mir is an incredible workshop. The only place that we were really able to perform long-term experiments over months and months and months. The shuttle could do it, but only in a period of 15 days with our Spacehab modules that would fit into the cargo bay. So the Russians really wanted to keep Mir in operation because it was doing some world-class research. So what they did was, in 1991, almost immediately after their new country came into existence, the Russians went up to NASA and they said, "We have a proposition for an agreement. We will let your astronauts ride our Soyuz spacecraft up to Mir. Our cosmonauts will ride your shuttle up to Mir, and we'll switch over. We will grant you the ability for your shuttle to dock with Mir and have astronauts have full access to the space station in return for financial support of the space station." And, you know, the guys at NASA were suddenly confronted with this amazing opportunity to have access to one of the most amazing laboratories in the world. And so they immediately accepted. And just 3 months after STS-61, Sergei Krikalev rides Discovery. He's the first Russian cosmonaut to ride an American spacecraft. And that was the beginning, that was the spark that kicked off this international cooperation. From then on, right through to the present day, space has been an international endeavour, not separated by borders or nations, creeds or colours. The first shuttle mission to Mir was STS-63, an amazing mission. STS-63 was the first flight of one of the most famous astronauts NASA's ever had, Eileen Collins. She was the pilot for STS-63, the first female pilot of a space shuttle. And the manoeuvres that she would have to carry out for 63 were incredible. She flew Discovery to within 37 feet of the Russian space station and flew her right over, underneath and over the top of Mir in a fly-around pass. And this, she didn't dock the shuttle to Mir. That was not the intention for STS-63. The intention was to prove that the shuttle could rendezvous with the space station before we risked a docking. Now, the first STS-63 returned home safely, and then on June 27th, 1995, Atlantis launched on STS-71. NASA's 100th manned space mission. 71 took 2 days to catch up with Mir, and then we had a completely successful docking. And for the first time, Russians and Americans met on a space station. And they broke figurative bread, tortillas and fruit to be exact. STS-71 returns astronaut Norman Thagard to the Earth, who launched on Soyuz TM-21 4 months earlier. He was the first American to ride the Russian Soyuz rocket. On March 22nd, 1996, Atlantis launched STS-76, carrying astronaut Shannon Lucid to Mir. By the end of her increment aboard the space station, she had amassed 223 days in space over the course of her 5 space missions, making her, until she was just recently overtaken by Sunita Williams, she was, up to that point, the woman with the longest accumulated time in space. Shannon Lucid's mission also marks the start of a continuous American presence aboard Mir. Overall, 7 American astronauts, including 1 British astronaut with American citizenship, to stay aboard the Russian space station. But for that British astronaut, things were about to go extraordinarily wrong.